Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Danielle, and today this is the big boy. This is the inventory of my makeup and my beauty products. I shared about my relationship with spending already in my No Buy Year intro. If you've missed it, then I will have it linked in the description in case you're interested. In that video, I go a lot more in depth about my previous relationship with spending, my rules and my goals for this year, 2022, which is my No Buy Year. So I already went pretty in depth in that video, but I feel this video could be really just as revealing or vulnerable as that video was. Some of you watching this may find yourself feeling physically ill over the number of things that I own, and some of you watching may be thinking to yourself that this is a pretty reasonable amount of things to own. And no matter where you find yourself on that spectrum, I'm glad to have you here. And I welcome you to share your thoughts in the comments as well. For me, where I'm at right now and with my personal and financial goals, this is too much. As I go through, I will be breaking down each category by sharing, first of all, the number of products I currently own in each category, and second of all, my goal for each category. Each one is a little bit different. Some categories I have way more products than in others, and in some I'm okay with how much I have, and in others I'm less okay with how much I have. And the last thing that I want to mention about my numbers is that I do count each mini and each sample as a product. Every individual item that I own in that category is counting as one. So I've got that all out of the way, all of that disclaimer, all of that preface. So I'm going to start off with my makeup collection, and I'm going to be sharing it in the order in which I generally apply my makeup because that's how I have it tracked in my spreadsheet, and maybe that will be interesting to see as well. But our first category is face primers. I currently have 8 primers. The primers that I have are generally all minis or samples. I do have one full-size product. My goal for this category is to eventually bring it down to only 2 primers. Next up, foundations. I currently have 7 foundations, and my goal is to have 4 foundations. Next category are my concealers. I currently have 3, and my goal is to have 3. So I'm fine with how my concealer collection is now. My next category is setting powders. I currently have 3 powders. One of them is a finishing powder and 2 are setting powders. My goal is to have 3 powders. I would like to always have the Pat McGrath under eye powder and to have the Laura Mercier setting powder. And then I would like a 3rd pressed powder. Next up, I do track my bronzers and my contours together. I currently have 6 different compacts, but I have 8 different products. So 2 of the compacts are duos with a bronzer and a contour. I believe my collection is currently split half and half, 4 contours and 4 bronzers. My goal is to eventually have only 4 products, and my goal is also to remain split with 2 bronzers and 2 contours. For brow products, I currently have 5 products, and my goal is to have 4. I of course would only need 1 gel at a time. I do have a mini gel right now. And I've also considered removing the eyebrow pen from my routine. So I could see myself eventually reducing this to 3. Next up is eye primer, and I currently have 6 eye primers. My goal is to have 2. And essentially I want 1 base primer, and then I know I would always like to have a glitter primer. Next up is eyeshadow palettes, and I do track both my mini palettes and my full-size palettes. I currently consider full-size palettes to be anything with 9 pans or more. My current number of full-size palettes is 29, and I currently have 24 mini palettes. In total, I have 53 eyeshadow palettes, and my goal is to have only 20 palettes. I don't necessarily have a full size versus mini breakdown. I do like to have some mini palettes, but I do imagine that I would have a majority of full size. I also track the number of single shadows I have, and this includes both potted shadows and just like individual magnetic pans that I keep in like a Z palette. I currently have 245 single shadows, and my goal would be to have 150. Next up is eyeliner. I currently have 7 eyeliners and my goal is to have 7. Next on my list is blush, and I have split down my blush collection into cream versus powder. I currently have 14 cream blushes, and as for powders, I have 21. In total, then I have 35 blushes. My goal would be to have around 10. I don't have necessarily a specific kind of breakdown of cream versus powder, but generally speaking, I would like to have more powders than creams just because cream blushes do expire quicker than powder ones. My next category is my highlighter category. I currently have 19 highlighters and my goal is to have 5. For mascaras, I currently have 4 in my collection and my goal is to have 3. For lip liners, I currently have 19 and my goal is to have 10. Next up is of course lipsticks. I currently have 37 lipsticks. My goal is to eventually have around 15 lipsticks. Then we have lip glosses. I also have tinted balms included in my lip gloss category just because I feel they serve pretty much the same purpose to me. I currently have 21 products. Most all of them are lip glosses except for one, I think, tinted balm type of thing. And my goal would be to have around 6. And finally, in my makeup collection are my false lashes. I never use false lashes, like ever, but I do have some. I currently have 8 pairs of false lashes, and my goal would be to have anywhere from 0 to 2 maximum. Now we're moving on to skincare. I do use a double cleanse system. So for my first cleanse, which is an oil-based cleanse, my goal is to have 2, and I currently only have 1. Next up is my second cleanse, my water-based cleansers. I currently have 5, and my goal is to have 2. My next category is exfoliators. I don't know that most people really categorize their exfoliators as a separate category altogether, but it is something that I find personally helpful just because they all serve the same purpose. Even if they're physical versus chemical exfoliants, I don't want to be over exfoliating my skin, so I only need a couple of those on hand. I currently have 9 different types of exfoliators, and that's a mixture of physical exfoliants and chemical exfoliants, and I think there's maybe some samples in there as well. But my eventual goal is to have 3. My next category is rinse-off masks. I currently have 8 rinse-off masks, and my goal would be to have 3. Just 3 different types that do different things. My next category is toners and essences. Because I consider my exfoliating toners to be in a different category altogether, I just kind of consider my toners and essences to play a very similar role. I currently have 13 of these types of products in my collection, and this is of course aside from exfoliating toners. And my goal is to have around 5. Next are spot treatments, and for me, basically this is just acne patches. I do have 2 different kinds, and my goal is just to have 2 different types of spot treatments at a time. My next category is serums. I currently have 21 serums, and some of those are minis and samples and what have you, but 21 nonetheless. And my goal is to have 4. So after applying the essences and serums and all of that jazz, my next step would on some days be to apply a sheet mask to kind of hold that all of that hydration in. I currently have 34 sheet masks, and my goal would be to have anywhere from 10 to 20 at a time. I have considered just getting like I think they're like silicone, or there's some sort of reusable material that is just like a sheet mask that you can put on over your products at any time. I would like to get one of those eventually after my no buy year, but I do also have certain types of sheet masks that I really enjoy and would like to continue using, at least for now. Perhaps my mind will be changed. My next category is eye cream. I currently have 6 eye creams, and my goal is to have 2. For moisturizers, I currently have 6, and my goal is to have 2. I like to have one that is really lightweight to use under sunscreen, and I also like to have one that might be a little bit heavier to use at nighttime when I'm not using an overnight mask. My next category is night cream, and I currently have 3, and my goal is to have 2. Some night creams or overnight masks, you're not supposed to use them every night. You're supposed to use them only a couple times a week or something like that, so having a variety is helpful. My next category is a lip treatment. I currently have 6 different types of lip treatments, and my goal is to have 2. My next category is lip balm. I currently have 3, and my goal is to have just 1. Specifically, I would like to just have 1 lip balm with SPF. And finally, for skincare, my last category is sunscreen. I currently have 7 sunscreens, and my goal is to have 2. I do like to use both a mineral and a chemical sunscreen, so I do intend to have 1 of each. And finally, we have body care, hair care, and other miscellaneous items that are specifically beauty related or adjacent to beauty, things that beauty creators talk about, all of that fun stuff. So first off, we have shampoo. I currently have 4 shampoos, and my goal is to have 2. Then for conditioner, I currently have 6, and my goal is also to have 2. For body soap, I currently have 15, and my goal is to have anywhere from 1 to 3. I currently have a lot of like hotel soaps on hand that, I kept around for one day when I would travel, but I think I'm safe to use those up. And eventually I would like to be able to just make an order to a small independently owned brand that makes bar soap and just order a few at a time and just have those on hand to use. My next category is body scrubs. I currently have 2, and my goal is to have 1. My next category is really just kind of a miscellaneous category for all miscellaneous bath products. I currently have 8 things that I would consider to be part of that kind of miscellaneous category, and my goal would just be to have 2. Next are hair treatments. I currently have 3, and my goal is to have 2. I do like to have like a conditioning leave-in hair oil and also some sort of like scalp treatment. My next category is hair styling products. I currently have 4, and my goal is to have 3. For body lotion, I currently have 11, and my goal is to have 2. I tend to get lotion as a gift. I feel like that's a pretty common gift for women especially. I just have some around that I just need to work my way through, and my goal would be to have only 2 on hand at a time. Okay, for perfume, this requires a little bit of explanation. So my current number is 85, and that is because I have a whole lot of samples on hand. I'm slowly working my way through my samples. Eventually, I would just like to have like 10 to 20 different types of perfume, either in like a travel size or full size. I do like to have some variety of scent, and I think that would be enough to give some variety, without hopefully being too overwhelming. I really enjoy perfume, so that doesn't seem overwhelming to me, at least right now. So next we have like nail polish related things. I currently have 3 base coats and my goal is to have 2. For nail color, I have 30 currently, and my goal would be to have around 15. To have some variety, but a few enough that I could actually feasibly work through them. And then for top coat, I currently have 2 and my goal is to have 3. And last but certainly not least, my last category is candles. And this is obviously not strictly beauty, but I currently have 0. And that is because I am filming this at the end of January and I used up all my candles throughout the month. So my goal would be to have anywhere from like 2 to 8 on hand. I obviously do enjoy my candles. I use my candles, so I'm fine with having a larger number, like 8 on hand at a time. With my current budget, I'm not sure when I will buy my next candle, if I will buy a couple in the coming months or not. We'll just have to wait and see. So that is everything. I'm really interested to see how all of my different categories change throughout my know by year. I'm not sure if I'll do like a 6-month update or if I'll just wait until 2023 to update, but I think that showing the progress of a year without buying things will be really interesting to share. So we'll see what I can get through in a year's time. If you have any thoughts on when I should give my next inventory update, please do let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.